Get ready to challenge what you thought you knew. Don't miss an episode of the truth within the Bible. Your journey to enlightenment starts now.
Welcome back, my friends. We're going to complete the book of Daniel today, the very 12th chapter. And that's the end. It's an interesting chapter. Some people make it very complicated, but with understanding, it will be crystal clear. It caps off as the frosting on the cake of prophecy concerning the end times. Daniel. What does it translate? My God is judge, and God is. First, let's do a recap of chapter 10 from the last video. Daniel 11 details kings and conflicts, including Persia and Greece. It tells of the prophecy of Rashi, which we just watched unfold last year. Then it goes into a future vile person that rises, breaking covenants and exalting himself. We saw biblical witnesses confirm him as being the Antichrist. And they will claim this first, where he says, he opposes the, quote, holy covenant. And Daniel explained exactly how the Antichrist will deceive the people, as well as how not to be deceived. Chapter 11, along with today's chapter 12, go hand in hand of the end times and explains the prophecy just as it will happen. Today, we will finish this book of Daniel. With all that being said, let's get right into it. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1.
And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book.
Michael is the prince of Israel. He is the overlord of Israel, if you will, much like the overlord of Persia or Iran that was mentioned in this book of Daniel. Michael was warring with him and was delayed, causing Daniel to pray and fast for 21 days before Michael was able to answer him. So Michael is going to stand up for Israel. As for the trouble, God's not mad at you. God's tribulation does not come against you. Just as Daniel was in the lion's den, God took care of him. So will he take care of you if you have the seal of God in your forehead, knowledge and understanding of the word. Verse 2.
And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt.
This is probably one of the most misunderstood verses in the Bible. It truly is. Bear with me a minute. We know from Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 6 and 7, that the instant you die, the instant that silver cord parts, you and your spiritual body instantly return to the Father. Then what is this that sleep in the dust? It's a statement of degradation. In other words, they are spiritually deader than a hammer. It is true that they will be changed into a spiritual body at the seventh trump, but they will still have a mortal soul. And a mortal soul is liable to die. If they don't change their way through the millennium, they're going to hell. This is why it is written in Revelation chapter 20, verse 5, where it said, the rest of the dead must remain dead until the end of the 1,000 years, and we, as priests, shall reign with Christ 1,000 years. And hopefully they'll see the truth. It's not a corpse dead. They're spiritually dead, deader than a hammer, not taught Satan, comes first, impersonating Christ. So here we have this statement. What about this shame and everlasting contempt? It is hard to even imagine the shame of a Christian to realize all of a sudden they're worshiping Satan when here comes the true Christ. This shall happen at the end. So therefore you're without excuse, and that shame will abound. Verse 3.
And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever.
In other words, God's elect will always try. When someone needs a seed planted of truth to change lives, they'll plant it. Verse 4.
But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
It's a nice sounding verse, but it's incorrect. You with companion Bibles, you will understand that a resh was confused with a dalet, and it made the word wickedness turn out to be knowledge. But to and fro as it is given means running to and fro, bringing about the great apostasy, the deception. So I'm going to read the way the ancient Septuagint and many of the ancient writings have it, and especially with the Masorah correcting the resh from the Dalet. Then this is as it should read.
But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and wickedness shall be increased.
And it will be. It's going to go worse and worse, because Satan will be here, and he will be deceiving many. Verse 5.
Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river.
Where are they standing? Where's Daniel? He's at the Tigris River, and one is standing in Iran, and the other standing in Iraq, which was Babylon of old, and Iran being Persia of old. Right in that geographical location. Verse 6.
And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, How long shall it be to the end of these wonders?
Probably one of the most asked questions ever asked is people wondering, when is the end going to be? When will this transpire? This has reference all the way back to the 10th chapter in the 14th verse. Hiddekel, which is Tigris. Verse 7.
And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and an half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished.
And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. And who is he? He is speaking of the Antichrist. The end will be when the Antichrist is finished. It shall be for a time, times, and in half. 3.5 year period. That's what he's talking about here. But even this has been shortened, and we know that also. How do we know that? Christ would say that in Mark 13. For the elect's sake, I have shortened the time when the Antichrist is here, or no flesh would be saved. Verse 8.
And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things?
Even after the 9th chapter, where we went into much detail about the false prince, the true prince, the cutting off of Messiah, and the length of time that the desolator would come in the middle of the week. That's why the 3.5 from dividing 7 in half. All explained to him, but here he's a little foggy on it. He doesn't quite understand what that has to do with that actual end coming. Verse 9.
And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end.
What does that mean? It means that the time of the end, whenever that is, the word's going to be opened, and the wise are going to understand. And that is why it is paramount that one takes the time. No one will ever know the instant, no one will ever know the day, but the wise will understand the season. That is to say, the season of the fig tree. That's why Christ would say in Mark 13, to learn the parable of the fig tree, and you better learn it. Verse 10.
Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
Over and over you're warned. Matthew 24, the same thing. He even says, not only will Satan be there, but his false angels, the Nephilim, fallen angels, are cast out with him. And they're going to be giving and taking in marriage again, just like they were in the days of Noah. See, warning after warning. And those that don't understand God's word are going to walk right into the trap. Verse 11.
And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days.
Verse 12.
Blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1,335 days.
Last verse to finish the chapter, and then I will explain it. Verse 13.
But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days.
Okay, verse 11 in the Hebrew actually says, translated literally, and from the time the regular or continual is taken away, and to place the abomination that makes desolate, 1,290 days. So, watching the Middle East, there will be a change of the daily routine, which will usher in the abomination, the desolator, the Antichrist. Once that happens, it will be 1,290 days until the end, or 3.5 years. We are given that many times in the Bible. Let's get our witnesses to that, shall we? Daniel 7:25.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand, until a time, and times, and the dividing of time.
Time, times, and half a time, interpreted as 3.5 years, describing the oppression by a future ruler, aka the Antichrist. Revelation 11:2-3.
But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months.
That is 1,260 days.
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
1,260 days is 1,260 days. Revelation 13:5.
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
The beast exercises authority for 42 months, 1,260 days. Yes, these are 1,260, and we just read 1290. The 30-day difference could reflect a calendar adjustment. Biblical time periods often use a 360-day lunar year, 12 times 30 days. However, actual lunar years include intercalary days to align with the solar year, approximately 355 days per lunar year, with occasional extra months. The 1,290 days might account for such an adjustment, representing a more precise duration for the events described. The progression to 1,335 days in Daniel 12:12, pointing to a sequence of events culminating in a blessed outcome. For instance, an interim time between the stopping of the routine and the placing of the Antichrist in the temple, claiming he is God, or possibly the destruction of the Antichrist at the return of the true Christ at the 7th trump. If the Antichrist time will be 1,260 days, then the other 30 possibly would be that interim time, this taking 1,335 days in total. Those that endure and do not worship the false Christ will be rewarded. The Bible mentions the tribulation days being shortened in Matthew 24:22. Let's hear that.
And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
And again in Mark 13:20.
And except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days.
However, no other verses in the interlinear Greek or Hebrew text explicitly speak of the tribulation period being shortened. No additional passages clarify a specific shortened duration. However, in Revelation 9, where it speaks of the locust army being released, it does speak of the time being 5 months. Many scholars believe that is what the tribulation time will be shortened to, 5 months. Now here is where I will tell you what I know, and you can make up your own mind. Don't take my word for it. Don't take any person's word for it. Do your research and dig into the Word of God. The trouble is trying to find stuff that is not regurgitated, meaning someone heard it and thought it was true, then decided to repeat it without looking it up for themselves. Huge problem, even with AI on that. Anyway, here's my conundrum. Let's hear the verse that has the 5 months in it. Revelation 9:5.
And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man.
Now there is a lot to that. And if it sounds confusing or scary, you need to go listen to my Revelation video for clarity. Because there is not going to be scorpions and locust monsters eating people. It is all about the deception that will be spewed out like a flood, only it's a flood of lies. If you are not aware of the truth, if you do not have the seal of God in your forehead, that flood will wash you away mentally. Now, the 5 months mentioned that we just heard is at the 5th trump. Satan does not come himself to the earth until the 6th trump, but his spirit and his 2 false prophets that also have supernatural powers are here at that time. His Spirit is here right now, as a matter of fact. That's why there is both good and evil in the world. So my point is, and I would really love some comments for an open discussion on this one, but my point is that most of the scholars have decided that the tribulation will be 5 months instead of 3.5 years. Now we know for a fact it has been shortened, for sure. We just found 2 witnesses to prove that in Matthew and Mark. So this is where the scholars start disagreeing. Some say all the trumps are sequential, and some say they are concurrent. If concurrent, then yes, absolutely the tribulation is 5 months. If sequential, then it is harder to draw a straight line to it. My hesitation comes from the fact that in 1832, Rothschild wanted more people in the church pews and hired John Darby to write in the rapture doctrine in the Bible. Yes, it was not a part of the original Bible. It was written in for profit and political reasons, even back then. This is very verifiable, so look it up. It worked because the then Methodist Church grew by 60% in a super short time. People were comforted, so they started buying into what the preacher was selling. That being said, is it possible that the 5 months could be another instance that they decided to translate something from the Bible that was going to make people comfortable and more agreeable? I don't know. I myself try to keep my eyes and ears open and my mouth closed. I cannot make that determination. I stand on what has 2 or more witnesses, and I observe the rest. Eyes open, people. I am watching for the signs. When you see it happening, you will know it. So trust God and don't go along to get along. Stand up and be strong. That finishes the book of Daniel. Until the next week's prophecy video, stay strong, my friends.